Homelessness in the United States is a major issue that touches many lives. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, in 2019 there were an estimated 567,715 people experiencing homelessness in the U.S. on any given night. There are a number of people experiencing long-term homelessness, which is defined as being homeless for more than 1 year. According to data from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, long-term homelessness in America has increased by 15% since 2020. The causes of homelessness are numerous and complex. The current response to homelessness in the United States is inadequate. Many communities lack the resources to adequately address the increasing number of people experiencing long-term homelessness. There are both individuals and organizations who are working to make a difference. Jon Taylor of Assistory Outreach Services in Phoenix, Arizona is one of those individuals who is working for change. Jon gives his insight on the growing homeless situation in America.
In the United States, there are over 500,000 people experiencing homelessness right now. These individuals are in temporary shelter, transitional housing, or they're in places that weren't designed to have habitation, such as, abandoned buildings, cars. I've drilled it down to 4 different reasons, major reasons why homelessness is occurring at the rate that it is in our country. And the very first thing is affordable housing. The second would be unemployment. Third would be poverty, people living below the poverty line. And then fourth would be low wages. I happen to be a manager at a Fortune 100 company in retail. Since COVID, there are several employment opportunities, and we can't keep employees. So there are jobs, but the problem is the cost of living has gone up so much that the wages can't provide a suitable lifestyle for most people. They can't survive. So those 4 factors play a major part in why we're seeing a homeless epidemic across the country.
Jon shares his insight on the hopes and the possible solutions that could remedy the problem of homelessness.
Every place is different. What I want to do is focus on Arizona, because that's where I reside. If you look at the number of Arizonians that experienced homelessness, let's say in 2020, it was nearly 11,000 individuals. By the end of 2021, there was about a 30% increase in homelessness from that 11,000. I don't have the data just yet, which is where they go out and they actually try to count the amount of homeless in every community as a result of an initiative with HUD. So I don't have those numbers yet, the data from that, but I would be willing to bet that there is a continued increase in homeless based on my conversations with other nonprofits and entities and individuals that I've seen on the streets. So when you ask me about my insights, I would say first and foremost, the government, the states, and the communities first have to believe that homelessness is solvable, which I particularly believe it is. Like I spoke earlier, the first thing I would probably try to resolve is affordable housing. We hear that all the time. People say affordable housing, we need more affordable housing, but no one's really come up with a plan across the board to make affordable housing available for all communities, no matter what demographic or where they fit in financially. I think that's one of the first things that needs to be done is to tackle affordable housing. Second, a lot of nonprofits are refusing to accept government funding or grants to operate. Now, nonprofit, we only exist by donations and grants. I'm meeting more and more organizations and fellow peers who are refusing to accept grants and donations from the government because the government is making it virtually impossible to obtain the grant in the first place. And then after you get the grant, the expectations that they have in place in order to maintain the grants make it virtually impossible for you to get the funding. When you have organizations that's built upon people volunteering and doing things in kind, and you've got an epidemic like we have in the United States with homelessness, the last thing you need is the government to quote unquote assist you in the efforts, but make it more difficult for you to actually do what it is you're trying to do and help those individuals that are vulnerable, that are unsheltered. So a lot of people are trying to come up with private donations and doing fundraisers and applying for grants that have no ties with government funding. That's a problem, because I believe our lawmakers and our city officials are trying to put monies aside to tackle the issue, but the support is not really happening because of all the stipulations that the government tends to put on their grants. And so that's a problem across the country.
Jon talks to us about a new idea that his organization is calling community conversations.
The community conversation started with a friend from college. She is an individual that's always been dialed into her community and has been a strong supporter of nonprofit work for as long as I've known her. I shared with her my vision 2 years ago, what I wanted to do in the community and what I wanted to do with my nonprofit and what particular audience I was trying to support. And she came to me with the idea of doing a town hall. We had decided to change it from a town hall to community conversations. And so that's how it started for me. And it made sense for two reasons. Every community is different. So you need to find out what that particular community needs that you plan on operating in or supporting. So the best way to do that is to have a conversation with those residents that live in that particular community, as well as those stakeholders that live in that community. Second, I thought it would be great to have these community conversations, because what it would do is it would put me in a room with other like-minded individuals, other stakeholders, as I mentioned, and other organizations that I could potentially partner with to address some of the same issues that I would be addressing.
In homes, so what they tried to do was bring all of these organizations together to provide these different services. And all the individuals have to do is really step through the gate and take advantage of it.
To me, it made common sense to start these community conversations, even if I did in a series of 4 or a series of 8, try to meet people where they are, hear directly from constituents in those communities, and meet those other individuals, see if we could come up with a plan where, and if there's an organization that is offering services that's different from mine, there's no sense in me recreating the wheel. We can partner together and attack this issue of homelessness.
Jon tells us about the positive outcome that he hopes to see as a result of these community conversations.
As I mentioned, I'm hopeful that these conversations will lead to collaboration between organizations and people who are in position to make change. I'm hoping that the questions and the concerns that we hear in these meetings will get to the ears of those who are in power or in position to make change. And I'm hoping to build strong alliances with other nonprofits and other organizations that are really trying to make a difference in the same manner that I am. I think it only makes sense to have conversations with those individuals that are homeless, that are unsheltered. And there's many reasons why people are, as I've stated so many times, we all are familiar with that adage, 2 minds are better than 1. So, of course, the more people you can get together in a room, focused on the same cause, you will just multiply that particular adage, or 5 minds will be better than 1. So I'm hopeful that will, as a result of us having these meetings and talking to the people.
To learn more about community conversations, contact Jon at Assistory Outreach Services, assistoryoutreachservices.com.